Hi there, I'm Clifford Bates, and welcome once again to Reading Aristotle's Nicomachean Ethics. Today we're looking again, we're in book 6 on the question of the intellectual virtues or the virtues of the mind, right? And today we're looking at chapter 7, which deals with Sophia, I think. Yeah, Sophia, right? Wisdom in that sense, the discussion of this. So, wisdom in the arts, too. Wisdom in the arts, too, we ascribe to those who are most precise in the arts. Okay, so therefore, this is the idea wisdom in the arts, right? Wisdom in the arts is therefore we subscribe to those who are more wise in the arts. For example, Phradius, Phradius was a wise sculptor in marble, and Polycletus, a wise sculptor in bronze, right? Again, Phidias of Athens is best known for the statue of Athena made for the Parthenon and for his depiction of the seated Zeus fabricated for the temple of Zeus at Olympia. Polycletus of Argos was the leading sculptor of the second half of the 5th century. He's most famous for the work of the uh, the Chrysepheian statue of Hera made for the Heremian at Argos, right? So they're the famous sculptors, right? Signifying by wisdom here nothing other than the virtue belonging to the art. So the wisdom of the art is the wisdom or the virtue that belongs to the art, right? But we suppose that there are some wise people who are wise generally and not particularly, or in some other respect, just as Homer asserts in the Margites, but the gods make neither diggers nor plowmen, nor wise in some other respect, right? So 33, this is the Margit poem no longer exists. Accident is mentioned also in the Poetics and following, right, at different locations. So this is a citation from Homer's in this comedy, the Margites, which we don't really have. We only have the reference in here that's made by Aristotle and other authors, right? So here we have this line from poet Homer asserts, but him gods made neither digger nor plowman, nor wise in some other. So this is the wise generally wise. So Aristotle begins the discussion of wisdom in terms of first suggesting, well, there is both the wise in a particular narrow sense, and the wise in general, right? Um, and the wise in the particular sense, wisdom in the particular sense here is like the wisdom of the art, an artist, a sculptor, a thing. But this is craftsmanship. This is what he talks about. The wisdom in the particular sense regarding making, we talked about this as techne, right? Craft. But here, wisdom is therefore talking about the general conception of wisdom here, right? The general, wisdom in general, right? This is what it seems to me. It is clear as a result, and the quote again here is a talking about not in the specific sense, but in the people who are generally wise, right? Not particularly. So it is clear as a result that the most precise of the science would be wisdom. The most precise of the science would be wisdom. So therefore, anything that the wise person, therefore, ought not only to know what proceeds from principles, but also to attain the truth about the principles. So the wise person both would be, this is interesting, wisdom would know both. The text here is wisdom would know both two things. It would both the principles, the arcane, therefore has the ability to do nous, right? Nous is that inflection of knowing what the principles are, and episteme, right? Episteme about the principles, working about, in other words, from the principles, from right, the truth. He would ought to know what proceeds from the principles, right? That's episteme, but also attain the truth about the principles. That's noetic, nous, right? That's therefore it is kind of the wise would be the combination of have those, right? Wisdom, as the result, would be intellect and science, nous and episteme, a science of the most honorable matters, the highest, the honorable, the kolos, the beautiful. Again, that would the most beautiful also could be translated here. The kolos, the most kolos matters, beautiful matters, the science of the most honorable or beautiful manners, that has, as it were, its capstone. This is the word capstone, and this is why 34 literally head. It's head, head. It's the capstone of a thing is the thing that holds them together. It's head, right? Its head. Therefore, wisdom is the head of the intellectual sciences, right? Pardon. For it is strange if someone supposes the political art or prudence to be most serious, if a human being is not the best of things in the cosmos. So it is strange if someone supposes that the political arts or prudence would be the most serious thing. So the political art, politicae, and prudence seem to be very much interconnected in this sense. Or prudence. It would be strange to argue that if humans are not, if a human being is not the best of things in the cosmos. That's so interesting. If the humans are not the best of things, the best of things, in the cosmos. So, well, but if they are, then politics is, right? That's the if not, uh, it would be strange to suppose they are if they're not, right? But if they are, is it not? Is okay? See the problem here. This is a very odd sentence in that sense because it says it suggests a negative only by asserting of a negative, right? That political and prudence is not the most serious. If you think it is, it would be strange, right? So that it'd be strange to think that if if a human being is not the best things in the cosmos, if indeed what is helpful and good is different for human beings and for fish, but what is white or straight is always the same. All would say that it is wise. What is wise is the same thing, but what is prudence differs. So therefore, wisdom is universal. See, he make a very interesting thing. Wisdom is what prudence dictates is different. He says, differs. We'll say explain that a little more. So semicolon. So first he starts out right. If what is helpful and good is different for different human beings, right? As for fish, right? But what is white and straight is always the same. One would say wise is the same thing, that wise is the same thing. But what is prudent differs, right? They would assert that that which observes the good condition for each sort of thing is prudent. And they would entrust such concerns to this. Now, there's two things observes and this. Here, literally contemplates, right? Observed or contemplates. Okay, this the theorizes, contemplate. One contemplates. One thinks about. One thinks about. Contemplates. In other words, they would assert that what contemplates a good condition is the sort of thing is prudent, right? And concerned of this, which is here, 36, is there is this agreement here in this reading of the manuscript, right? There's a big disagreement. We followed in the main Burnet's suggestion, which are suggested, originally supported by Gautier and Joliffe, the two different manuscript interpreters. Right? Burnet is the one agreement and is supported by these two. Another possible translation is they would assert that that which observes well the various particular concerning itself is prudence. And they would entrust such things to this. Okay, so that's the different. This passage is a very complex passage in the Greek, and that's there's two possible. They follow this. The translation they have in the text here goes in one direction. The other direction could be they would assert that which observes well the various particulars concerning itself is prudence. So prudence is what is, and they would entrust such things to this. Okay, so therefore the difference here is one would be separating prudence from it, and the other is the understanding of prudence, a thing reference with regarding the things in themselves. Right. That's and I think the Greek is purposefully problematic here because Aristotle wants you to think about this. What is prudence compared to wisdom? Is prudence, and again, this reflects the question is are human beings the highest thing or the best thing in the cosmos, or are there things higher than them? If they are things higher than them, then politics cannot be the best art. Politics or prudence cannot be the best. There's something to be better than it. But if they are, then prudence may be the highest thing. Okay, and politics may be the highest thing. Again, this is that problem: is our and does the question of the transcendent show that our, in other words, the idea of the transcendent, the thing above man, the thing that which is above man, points to also to the question that there's a knowledge about those things that are above man. Okay, that transcend, knowledge of the transcendent, and wisdom is a combination of in that sense, right? So this is why I think this passage is as complex as it is, because it wants you to think about it. And is prudence really more about, in other words, let's look at this line again here. Here he says that they would assert that which observes well the various particular concern itself is prudence. So that observe well, or contemplate well. Remember, that's the observe here is also contemplate, right? Contemplate well is the various particulars concerning itself. It's prudent. And they would entrust such things to entrust the correct contemplation of this to prudence, right? So let's continue here. Hence, they assert that certain beasts too are prudent. Prudent, and certain beasts are prudent. Namely, all those that manifestly have the capacity for forethought concerning their own life. In other words, they're aware and make choices about their life. They can, in other words, beasts that can look at the situation and try to preserve their life is a prudence, so calculation, the idea of calculating. It is manifest too that wisdom and the political art would not be the same. So therefore, all of a sudden, that's one thing. So even animals have prudence, the argument, or some limited capacity for forethought, right? This is the argument. For concerning their own lives. So therefore, the difference between an animal is not that they lack forethought. No, they have forethought for their own individual, but they don't have the ability to aggregate that forethought, that knowledge or that forethought, thinking about the future, right? That's what forethought means. Not only what's not now, but what I should do, right? How to survive and how to. This is interesting because the forethought, not only for oneself, but for others, collective forethought, that is that the ability to go beyond that sense, to think of others as well, to judge what is others. Well, the animals can judge for themselves. Maybe the problem is that the animals judge for their children too. Maybe then how about extended groups? We don't know. That's the question. That is the question, because they have this concern to ability of this survival. So, right? But then he goes that what? He says that he then distinguishes between the manifest two, that wisdom and political art, politicae, would not be the same. If people say that the art concerning the things advantageous to themselves is wisdom, if people say that the art concerned with things advantageous to themselves is wisdom, there will be many wisdoms. For there is not one wisdom concerned with for there is not one wisdom concerned with the goods of all the animals, but a different one for each, unless there is, in fact, a single medical art concerned with all the beings. So, therefore, this is interesting. He says, is there, is there wisdom for everything? Is there universal wisdom in that sense? And that is there wisdom in particular? This is a very interesting. If people say that the art concerned with things advantageous to themselves is wisdom, there will be many wisdoms. For there is not, but for there is not one wisdom concerned with the goods of all the animals, but with different ones for each, with a different one for each, unless there is in fact a single medical art concerning all the beings. So is there a single art of all beings? Now, yes, the medical art, no, they're not. We distinguish between there's not a, but then there is a knowledge about all animals, and humans are part of animal world. But the veterinary doctors and the medical art of things, the treating of doctors. In other words, the doctor is different from, let's say, the scientist, and that the biologist. The biologist studies all biological entities. They could study humans as well as they would understand that, but they don't deal with healing. Right? Healing is the art of knowing what is to do, how to heal, how to make better. And art tends to deal with the particulars, right? And whereas the general knowledge of something, or knowledge or study of something, tends to be universal, tends to understand and apply to everything within that same genus, right? So this distinction between the knowing of a thing versus the being able to then apply a thing, that's the difference. That's why the medical art is not one in this sense, right? I think this is the logic of what he's saying here. And whether a human being is the best in comparison with the other animals makes no difference. In other words, in the terms of this issue. For there are other things whose natures is much more divine than that of a human being. To take only the most manifest example, the things of which the cosmos is composed. In other words, and by here, this is by this. In other words, the stars, the planets, the stars, they're more divine in that sense. They're higher, divine of the stars, of the God things. Okay, in other words, they're more divine, and the things that are cosmos comprised of. So that's the fact that humans, in other words, and whether a human being is the best in comparison with the other animals, no, because why? Because for there are other things whose natures are more divine, and he then brings the cosmos, right? The things of the stars and the cosmos. But would we call them divine or so? So let's think about this. This again, Aristotle's trying to make us the things for which the cosmos is composed, the whole is composed. That's very important. That wisdom and thus is a holistic in that sense, in a general sense. Must be not. It is a knowing the truth and the falsehood about the things of everything, of the whole, the cosmos. And so, on the basis of what has been said, it is clear that wisdom is a science and intellectual grasp of the things most beautiful by nature. Honorable, kalos. Kalos again, beautiful. I think beautiful is better. Honorable, honorable, no, honorable is too moralistic. I think beautiful by nature. Can be beautiful. Most things most beautiful by nature. Be honorable, noble, highest, finest. Hence, and a little break for a second. Hold on. So let's, in other words, it is therefore wisdom is a science, and it is both a science, episteme, and a intellectual news, right, of the things most beautiful by nature, right. Hence, people deny that Anaxagoras, Thales, and the wise of that sort are prudent when they see them being ignorant of the things advantageous to themselves. And they assert that such men know things that are extraordinary, wondrous, and daimonic, yet useless too, because they do not investigate the human goods. So let's look at this. There's notes here, and I think the notes are useful. Here is extraordinary. The word prata also means superfluous, right? That's right. Preta also means, so extraordinary, but a superfluous, excessive, extravagant, right? Um, then what else? Wondrous, difficult, and daimonic. Here's a characteristic of a daimon, the divine power of agency that Plato perceived. In the realm between human beings and gods, a term that can be used colloquially to mean something surprising or wondrous, right? So therefore, this is demonic, and yet useless too, right? Because they do not investigate this or to seek out, right? This is to seek out the human good. So therefore, this is the problem: is that wisdom about these things, wisdom about the cosmos, the cosmic things, or the these goods, these higher things, they mock them, saying that, listen, it's they're ignorant about the advantageous to themselves. They may know these wonderful things, these extraordinary, wondrous, difficult, daimonic things, yet they're useless. Why? Because they do not investigate or seek out the human goods. This is the difference. This is the big moment. This is the difference between Socrates, the Socrates that we see in Aristophanes' Clouds, the one that study, the mocking of the Socrates who does this, is kind of a picture of Socrates before his second sailing, when he moved, because he followed people like, notice, in fact, what's interesting here is Anaxagoras, Thales, and these people are mentioned, but not Socrates. Remember this, because Socrates makes a turn to the human things. That's the second sailing, right? The second sailing is the human goods. This is why they're not talking about the highest divine things. This is the difference between the pre-Socratics and the Socratic. This is the big difference between the pre-Socratics. The pre-Socratics thought all wisdom was uniform, and that there was that all knowledge and things, and that the fundamental origins of things, the fundamental things, were the things that controlled these human things. That the divine things are. Where Socrates suggests that we start with the human goods. So this is why political philosophy is so important, and the political art may be in other words, therefore this goes to the problem that maybe the truly divine is not the things, the stars, the matter, earth, fire, but rather the human. This is the big problem here. So therefore, this is the problem. Now we end up with discussion of wisdom, but what we get here is not a discussion of wisdom in itself, but a comparison of wisdom to prudence, and a very what one could argue a very compelling argument about if the human things or the human goods are the most important, than prudence and the political are, and the connection between prudence and the political. So let's go. Prudence is concerned with human things and with those about which it is possible to deliberate. So therefore, the question of the prudence is not only about, it's a knowing, it is concerned with the human things, but the human things that are possible to liberate. So is there a notion of the human things that there's, in other words, is wisdom thus, the difference between wisdom and prudence is it is what, concerned with the human things, but it's the one things about the human that are not, one cannot deliberate about. There's no deliberation about. It's at the eternal things, the unchanging, the things that do not admit variation. For we assert this to be the work of the prudent person, especially deliberating well. Okay, and nobody deliberates about the things that cannot be otherwise, or about things, or about things as are without some end. An end, moreover, that is a good obtainable through action, right? Praxis. A good, a good, something, some benefit or some advantage that is obtainable through action, right? He who is a good deliberator simply is skilled at aiming in accord with calculation at what is best for a human being in things attainable through action. So calculation is what is best at Aristos for human beings in things attainable through action. And prudence is not concerned with universals alone, but must also be acquainted with the particular. So it is also, in other words, no, it's not concerned with universals alone. Not that it's not concerned with universals. It's the universal and the particular. See, it's concerned not only just with the particular; it's concerned with the universal. In other words, it is not with the universals alone, but must also be acquainted with the particulars. It is bound up with action, and action concerns the particulars. So, therefore, hence, even some who are without knowledge, those who have experience among things, are more skilled in acting than are others who have knowledge. So, therefore, there is an argument that you can get, in other words, you can be skilled to experience. And this is different from knowledge. Maybe it is a form of knowledge. Those it is more skilled in acting than others who do have knowledge, right? They have knowledge of some things. Knowledge alone plus it's knowledge plus experience. This is prudence. Prudence is not pure knowledge. It is not a knowledge simply. It's not because why? Because it's not about universals. It's about universals in the particular. Okay, it is prudence is not. It requires both knowledge. It is a form of knowledge, but it's a knowledge that engages with the particulars, and therefore anything engaged with particulars requires some level of experience, right? Um, um, hence, hence, there are some who, without knowledge, and who those who experience are more skilled than those who have knowledge, right? For if someone should know that light meats are easily digestible and healthy, but is ignorant of what sort are meat are lights, he will not produce health. Rather, he who does not know that poultry is light and helpful will, to a greater degree, produce health. In other words, who knows? In other words, he who does know that poultry is light and helpful will be a greater degree producers of health. In other words, this is the thing that, in other words, he doesn't know that um, meats are light. In other words, one should know that a general principle that light meats are easily digestible and healthful, but that is ignorant of what is what ones are light. That's to know what is light, to know the particulars, is specific knowledge. It's based on usual experience or some kind of knowledge of understanding of the particulars. You have a general knowledge, but without the specific knowledge, you won't be able to have benefit. So therefore, this is what produces health. The one who knows that this is light, and that, is light and healthful, this will to a greater degree produce health. He doesn't necessarily know that the larger principle of this, the larger principle. He knows only that this is good. Doesn't know why it's good. And actually, this is the thing about this is the difference between knowledge and experience. Knowledge of experience doesn't necessarily know the larger reason, the more general principle at stake. And this is the point of science in this way. Science concerns itself with the general principle, right? It concerns itself with the general truths. And therefore, it tries to understand the connection between the particular and the universal and the particular. But back to the final paragraph in this chapter. Prudence is bound up with action. As a result, one ought to have knowledge of both universals and particulars. But again, this is the Greek. The brackets mean that it's not in the Greek. It's added by the authors. So therefore, the sentence is it would be, one ought to have knowledge to have. One ought to have both, but more so of the latter. So therefore, we talked about the universal and particulars, right? That's why he's adding it to make sense, clarifying it. More of the latter in that sense. The latter, former latter. So more particulars. But here too, there would be a certain architectonic art, science, or knowledge. So, what is the ruling science? Architectonic or ruling art? Ruling art. Here, there would be a ruling art. Remember, this is politics. Politics good. What is the ruling politica, right? Or maybe this will be discussed in the politics. And here we end the chapter, right? It ends with the criticism of prudence. It ought to have both the universe and particular, right? Prudence is both concerned with this, but more so the latter, right? But here too there would be a certain ruling science, a certain architectonic science, something that rules the arts and knowledge, politica or philosophy. It's left quiet. But look at the next chapter. Next chapter will start it out, right? So it's very interesting. We'll see what happens in the next chapter. We get a certain question here. What is the ruling art in science? So we end up here. We stop there. If any comments, questions, or issues you have, please put them below, and we'll get to them. Comments there. If you like what we did here, hit the like button. If you not subscribed, okay, share it with all you can. Share it in your social media. Share it with your friends, email them, and bring their attention. If you have not subscribed, please subscribe. If you know someone who would like these kind of things, introduce it to them and encourage them to subscribe too, so we can grow the chapter. If you didn't like what we did here, I had a couple of breaks. My stomach house is not. You can say, "Oh, I didn't like it." It was so you can hit that, but say why in the comments, and we can learn what I did wrong, or what you think I didn't highlight correctly, or you disagreed with. Say it in the comments so people can learn. If you want to follow me in social media, you can go to the links below. If you want to know about me as a scholar and as a researcher and a student about these things, you can look at the social media, the academic social media. You can look at my published scholarship and my unpublished scholarship and things like that. You can also, if you want to help me to do what I do, you can do so through Subscribe Star or Patreon. The links are below. Or you can, if you don't want to do that, the way you want to is buy one of the books. My 3 books are listed below. You can order one of my books either through your local bookstore if you wish to help. Go through the bookstore. You can ask them to order it, or you can go through an online bookseller like Amazon or Barnes & Noble or any other thing like that. Or and if you want to studying the politics, you can check out my links in the politics earlier. That hosts Aristotle's. We did Aristotle's politics previously. You can check out the whole course, but also you can take my notebook for Aristotle's politics and buy it through Lulu. Because if you buy it through Lulu, I get the profit, not that the bookstores will get. So please, if you're studying the politics and things like that, I would recommend my little notebook for Aristotle's politics as a good guide to helping you through it. as long as along with my class. In fact, it would my online class, the online lectures I gave on this. I think going through reading it through is actually useful. Um, that's it. I hope you guys have a good day, and we'll see you next time when we look at chapter 8. Bye bye. Have a good one.